Hello everybody and welcome to the Self-Coach community for May. This is a recording of the slides. Regular tuners in will know that I don't record the sessions live because what we share there is confidential. But for those of you who couldn't make it, here are the slides. So, courage, let's go. These are the boundaries. So you can read these. We don't need to go through this, but the one I would highlight here is for those of you watching, be respectful and kind to yourself. Haha. What a novel notion. So we take a moment to land here in this space. You are giving yourself the next 20 minutes or so to just devote to building the skill of self-coaching. And so I'm going to read us a little poem to help us to just signal the entrance to this space for ourselves, and the fact that we're committing this time to ourselves. This is a picture of my dogs, Nigel nearest to us and Dizzy furthest away in the woods near my house, roaming around in the wild garlic, which has been absolutely stupendous this year. So here we are. Welcome. The poem this month is a poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Or, an alternative last line, and which is more, you'll be a human. So, welcome. Here we are. This month is a big month, and I'm going to encourage everybody in the community to watch this video because we're having a vibe change. Dun, 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 dun. And the vibe change is really a deepening of my own understanding of self-coaching, my own practice of self-coaching, and my own professional development as a coach. One of the things that I have been doing for well over a year now is internal family systems work. That is a therapeutic modality that looks at our internal landscape as a system, as a family. So it brings systems thinking to the table, but also that relational piece because we're a family and we're all on the same team. So I've been doing a lot of work with internal family systems for myself and on myself, and it has naturally been something that has made its way into my coaching practice. And I am now embarked upon a course of study that will last for the next few months. It's led by a guy called Richard Schwartz, who is the person who put all the pieces together for IFS, Internal Family Systems. So he's kind of the founder, in inverted commas, of it. He's leading this training. It is specifically for coaches. I'm so excited about it. And it's how to bring this IFS vibe and frequency into the coaching practice. And because I found it so helpful and so supportive for myself, I see it with my clients all the time. I wanted to bring it here into the self-coaching community. So it's not so much a shift of our intention as a deepening of our understanding of how to coach ourselves. And that is why we're having this slight vibe change. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about IFS. There'll be some basics and some fundamentals. For those of you who want to know more, there's loads out there on the internet. I'm going to recommend a book for you to read. It's simply about getting to know some of those concepts. You can coach yourself without it. You don't have to. And the framework that I offer still works without the IFS knowledge. So don't worry oh my God, I have to take on all this new information. Not at all. Simply listen to this video and that will be enough for you to be able to coach yourself. So let's go for the first thing. So IFS, Internal Family Systems, is as I said earlier, it's a therapeutic modality, but it is how we work, I believe. So I listen, as you know, as a coach to lots of people, and I mean, we all listen, but when you really tune into the choice of language, people use the language of IFS all the time. So, and here is the core premise. We have parts in our minds. These are sub-personalities in our minds. There might be an internal critic in there. There might be a cheerleader in there. There might be a hopeful part. There might be a submissive voice. There might be all sorts of sub-personalities. We used to pathologize having lots of different personalities, but actually the contention here, and it's backed up by lots and lots and lots of research and lots of evidence, there's hardcore science behind this, is that these sub-personalities, you could conceive of it as how we think, the voices in our heads, if you like. These are all parts of us. They are all good. They all want the best for us, although along the way, some have become burdened and have taken on a different role. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But the fundamental concept here is that we have these sub-personalities in our minds, and they make up our internal system, and they are all good. We then have the self. This is the essence of your consciousness. This is you. This is the you that's not a part, basically. This is, and we'll talk about the qualities of self in a moment and how you know when you're showing up with self energy. But this is always present. It can never be damaged. It can never be diminished. It's there from the moment we take our first breath, fully formed, to the moment that we exit this human field. So what we need to know about self is that it's a bit like the sun and the clouds. It can never, ever be damaged or diminished, but it can be hidden behind clouds. And those clouds might be made up of some of the parts in our system, some of our experiences, our context, our culture, and all sorts of other things. So in the same way that even if it's raining outside, we know the sun is out because it's light, and the sun is always there shining away above the weather system. It's the same inside of us. The self is always, always there and can never be damaged, but it can be obscured. So parts and self, that is the fundamental thing about IFS, about all of us and how we work. So let's have a little look at parts then. This is really interesting. As I said earlier, all the parts are good and they want the best for us. Some of them have taken on burdens. There might have been a traumatic experience. That doesn't need to be big T trauma. It could be something like feeling shame, or a lack of safety, or it's often in earlier childhood, not always, but it often is. And these parts have altered their state. And they've remained frozen at the time when they needed to take on that burden. And you've got three basic types of parts. Protectors. These are proactive, and basically they're all about safety. They want to keep us safe. That's their job. But they do it by trying to control other parts inside of us, people, situations. Some of those things are in our control and some not. So protectors, that's one big group of parts. Firefighters, these are reactive. They're like the emergency services, and they swoop in when we are at risk of being overwhelmed. The system is at risk of being overwhelmed. They don't want that. So they might numb, they might distract, they might do all sorts of things, to stop us being overwhelmed. So if we get too close to something that the internal system's worried we won't be able to handle, you might get a reactive firefighting response. You might get very frustrated, you might get angry, you might push people away, you might get very critical, you might, I don't know, eat some chocolate or whatever. There's lots of numbing and distracting behaviours that go on in this firefighting space. Again, they want the best for you. They're trying to protect you. And the third group of parts is the exiles. These are often the youngest of all, and they're the ones who've experienced the trauma or the pain, the fear, the shame, whatever. And the system, the whole system says, flipping heck, we don't want to experience that again, and they shut the exile away. So the protectors and the firefighters, really what they're trying to do is, as a system, stop you feeling those things that you felt, keep you away from those exiles, because it's those that that it's that troubling experience that we had that means we had to adapt and do all these different roles in the first place. So those are the three kinds of parts. We all have all of them. That's basically it. If you want to know more about parts, I really do recommend the book No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. Great. I accessed it on Audible. Really good, really helpful. There's lots of really practical, actionable things in here, lots of exercises and really helpful case studies around mapping your parts and understanding your internal system. Because if we're trying to do something different and we're getting resistance, it's because the system is doing it, and it's doing it for a really good reason, and it wants the best for us, and it's trying to protect us. In no sense and in no way do we ever reject a part of us. So, for example, if you've got a very anxious part, or if you've got a very vibrant inner critic, I sometimes hear people say, I just want them to bugger off, can't stand them. Understandable reaction. That's another part speaking, not self, and we'll come to self in a second. What we don't want is to reject any parts. There is no such thing as a bad part, hence the name of Richard's book. We want to be curious towards the part. What does it want us to know? Even if it causes us to suffer, it still wants the best for us. So that's a quick overview of parts and how to find out more if you want to. And then we have self, this core of consciousness that's within each and every one of us. It's not a part, although confusingly you can get self-like parts, but we won't worry too much about that. Self is always present, fully formed, as I said before. It can be obscured, but it can never be damaged or diminished. And here are the qualities of self: curiosity, courage, clarity, confidence, calmness, compassion, creativity, and connectedness. If you're feeling these things, especially if they're directed towards parts of your internal system, that's self-energy. If you're able to look at, somebody, for example, a simple example, somebody cuts you up in traffic. Initially, there might be a part of you that's frustrated or cross about that, but you return to self-energy when you become calm again, when you become curious. Oh, I wonder what that person's got going on in their life that they need to drive so aggressively, sending love to that. That's the kind, that's self-energy. So parts and self. It might just be interesting to think about now, if we look at courage as one of the attributes of self, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you in your life? And so, just have a think about that. If you could define courage for you, what would that look like? And it might look like pushing through resistance. It might look like doing something that makes you uncomfortable. In IFS terms, and in the terms of this community, courage is the willingness to face difficult emotions, experiences, and to work with them. That's what courage is. So we face into the difficulty, into the discomfort, and we work through it. That's courage. It's lots of other things as well, but it's not all facing unimaginable odds. But, in our work as self-coaches, it's facing into the discomfort and the difficulty, not shying away. So, lovely. Now what I'm going to do is talk to you about the new and improved self-coach framework. We've had a framework before. This really does still, that framework is still good. You can still use it if you prefer, but this one is really, I've used it myself. I've given it to other people to use. I've been using it for some time now, testing it out. And this is something I believe really works. I personally like to use this for myself in a journaling type format. So, and I'll give you an example in a moment of something from my own journal. So, these five steps, these 5 steps are all about getting your internal system to coalesce around a goal or an intention and to work together to get you there. We need to listen to who shows up when you set an intention for yourself. And we're not bulldozing through any parts that might object or find it challenging or difficult. We're very much there in self-energy to reassure and to collaborate and work with the parts that are activated. So here's how the framework works. You, first of all, have something that you want. Now that can be a higher level thing, like, for example, I want a new job, or I want this, or I would like to be promoted, or I would like a new relationship, or whatever it is, something that you would like to be different in your life. So a large goal. It can also work, this framework also works in the moment, and I've used it in both contexts myself. It can also be worked in the moment for a feeling, a situation, or an experience. So I recently had a situation that was not one I could change, but that made me feel very, very sad. So it was literally the clouds had gathered. And I used this framework, and I wrote it in my journal. Now, I'm just sharing my process with you. I am in no way saying this is how you do it and get it right, in inverted commas. There is no such thing as getting it right. It's just I'm sharing with you my experience in order that you might be able to experiment and find what yours might be. So in the moment with that difficulty, what I wanted, the first step, clarify, what I wanted was to feel less sad. I didn't necessarily want to feel happy per se, but I did want to just feel less sad. So that's what I wanted. What showed up? Well, I had, there was obviously a part of me that was upset. There was a part of me that was very worried, that because didn't know what the outcome might be, and then there was a part of me that was resigned and wanted to give up. Now, you might think, oh, how do I check what parts are showing up? It's really very straightforward. You simply have an internal dialogue. So I literally sat there, I shut my eyes, and in the context of me wanting to feel a bit less sad, I just thought to myself, I wonder what parts are showing up. And they just popped into my head. They just appeared. Some people experience parts as shapes, as colours, as feelings in the body. Some people see objects. Some people see versions of them. Some people see other humans which are not them. Some people see nothing. Some people only hear a voice. It's all different. Your parts will show up however they show up. There's no right or wrong here. But if you simply check in, someone's going to say something. If you don't get anything, if nothing comes, that's a blocking part. So that's you still got the feedback. If you get a blocking part, the best thing you can do is to reassure that part that you are here, the age you are now, and you might need to address the part and say, I am here, and I am, in my case, 52 years old. The part might not know that. You can invite or ask if it's okay for the part that's blocking all the other parts just to step back just for a moment or two, knowing that it can step back in at any time. But if it's comfortable to step back and let the other parts show themselves, and 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, the answer to that will be yes. So if you get nothing, that's a blocking part invited to step back and then connect. So we check who's showing up. Then we check in. What do these parts need? We're curious here, self-energy. We're curious. We want to understand their point of view. So if I take my example of wanting to feel less sad, and I had a part that was resigned. I had other parts, but that was one of them. And when I checked in with that part, what did they want me to know? Oh, they'd just given up. You've tried and tried and tried, and nothing that you've done has made any difference. So just give up. Just resign yourself to it. And that was their way of trying to keep me safe from getting hurt more by trying again. So that was what that resigned part wanted me to know. Another great question here is, how do you feel towards the part? So this creates a distance, a separation between self and part. How did I feel towards the resigned part? Well, I felt a lot of compassion for it. But if you felt, for example, if I felt then, oh God, I'm so frustrated, I'm so fed up with this resigned part, always just copping out, That's not self energy. That's another part. And we say, welcome to that. And we invite that frustration just to step back for a moment. I'm going to come to you in just a minute. I just want to, engage at the moment with the resigned part. So you can see how you're chairing a you're chairing a meeting here. You're having a campfire, and everyone gets their chance to speak. It's something that you lead from a place of self energy. And that's why that question, how do I feel towards the part, is very, very, very helpful. Because really here, what you want to do is speak for your parts, not from your parts. It's a really important distinction. So you want to listen to the part, validate their point of view, help them see and understand that you've heard them and that you recognize their perspective, and it's valid and it's helpful. And this can be tricky to do, especially if the part causes you to suffer. For example, an internal critic is a classic one that berates us and gives us a hard time, but actually it's trying to keep us safe in some way. So we're asking the parts questions here. What are you afraid might happen if you didn't do what you do for this internal system? What do you want me to know? What do you need from me? So just really engaging, and you might have lots of parts showing up. You might have one or two. Just engage with whoever's there. If you've got lots of people, if you've got a very crowded group of people, or lots of parts, you might just invite one or two to step forward. Who's most urgent, and they'll probably prioritize themselves. So that's the third step. Spend some time here. It's really very beautiful. And sometimes you can, just because you're showing up in self energy, using self leadership, you're the conductor of the orchestra here. And all of your parts are the instruments, and actually they've been trying their best to put on a show without a conductor. And when you show up as the conductor in self energy, it's not uncommon for parts to just relax a bit, feeling, oh God, someone's got it, thank God, because they haven't felt that potentially ever. So when you show up in self energy and then you ask those parts, the parts that have shown up, that get activated by the thing that you want to be different, how can we work together? And let's again take that example of me wanting to be less sad about a situation I couldn't change. How can all these parts work together? Well, the resigned part can actually relax their grip a bit once they're reassured. They can relax their grip and allow some hope in and allow some light in. So that was a big shift actually, for the resigned part to relax their grip, and then it allowed other things to come in, like hope and ways I could support myself, etc. So the system recalibrated itself in effect, but what you're seeking is an alignment so that the system can work together in a way that feels safe towards the thing that you want to be different. And then that commitment, one small step. And because for me in this instance, I'd had that recalibration of the system where the resigned part had relaxed their grip a bit, I was able to flow out a lovely list of things I could do to support myself to feel less sad. So that's an example of how to use the framework. My invitation now is that you go away and that you use it. So pause this video now, go away, take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and come back when you are ready. Write it down, use this framework around something that you want to be different. even if you just spend some time checking in and seeing who's there in your inner landscape and letting them know that you are here, you and your self energy are here. That is extremely valuable. So do that and come back when you're ready. So welcome back. I hope that you found that helpful and productive. It's useful to reflect on how it went. How did it go? How did you feel about it? There might have been a part going, oh, you don't know how to do this, you see. I'm sure you got that wrong. And welcome to that. And if you feel curious and you would like to know more, then please do tune in. Next month, we are going to look at another quality of self. And we are also going to restructure things so that there's much more time to practice. So, in the live group that I run every month, in June, we are going to be running things in a way that enables 2, 3, possibly even more self-coaching practice sessions around an intent. So if you're already in the self-coach community, you will be receiving the invitation. If you want to join the self-coach community, please just drop me an email, lou@lou-coaching.com, and I will send you the invite. All you need to do is bring yourself, something to write with, something to write on, and your curiosity to learn the skill of self-coaching. Thank you. This has been a longer video than I normally do because of all this reset around the new framework. I hope you found it interesting. I send you lots of love and I'll see you soon.